Yeah, today's video is definitely not going up on time, but that's fine. All that like it's January 11th in some other time zone. As you can see on the top right, it's 11:59, close to midnight. Uh, I got my ears pierced today. That was something that happened. Right now, my hair is dyed. I have a piercing. Yeah, it's top 10 signs of a quarter life crisis. What I wanted to talk about today, in the last episode, you know what, these are episode videos now. In the last episode, I talked about the tennis portion of the South Carolina, and then the idea of the freaky all hole inside of me that it kind of left. And in between that, I did talk about a second factor that I didn't really want to go that deep into for that video because it was also getting pretty long for it. It was a girl. Oh my god. I know, very typical, but yeah. In the last 3 weeks of my time at the academy, actually, let's go back. So, first of all, I'm a straight dude. I guess that's important to know. I'm a straight heterosexual sexual man. I don't know, maybe change sometime. I'm not changing sometime. But the thing is, I knew that I had to focus during my time in South Carolina. So I said to myself that I wasn't gonna look for or pursue anything with a woman in my time at the academy, which I didn't actually. Not trying to toot my own horn, but I did have times when I definitely could have pursued something or somewhat pursued something, but yeah, I was like, I'm gonna focus right now and work on my tennis. And I did. And then at a certain point, like I said, I realized that I'm wasting my time. Well, I'm not wasting my time. It's not gonna work out. So, I started talking to this girl from, not that she didn't play tennis, but she was, there was a connection through tennis from the academy that got me to start talking with her. And it's going really well, actually. I'm not gonna go into the details because that's kind of weird, you know. I'd also be weirded out if someone was talking about specific date experiences with me. But yeah, going really well. I don't know, I felt very comfortable talking to this person, and the comfort that this person gave me was artificially blocking or filling up my unrealized sadness for losing tennis. I didn't know it at the time, but in the moment you're kind of blinded. I think it happens to everyone. But it made the quitting or the quitting, like let's just say what it is. I was quitting. The quitting easier because I was filling or replacing that hole that tennis left with this person, and it was going really well for like 3 weeks, and then I think that she decided that she did not want to commit to anything, which is her decision. You can't really get mad about another person's decision for something like that. And I think if you do, you're weird. But it was definitely slow ball, hella slow ball of telling me that what her situation was, and it made me very anxious during the time. There was a lot of insecurity, I think, in failing tennis during that time, and also a sudden realization that the gap that I felt was no longer, like, I just saw it because the person that stopped talking to me. And I think what I learned from it is very important. It's that although, because I believed I was ready for someone, and I thought they would bring like happiness to my life during an unhappy time or what's supposed to be a sad time, they'd fill that and I would be happier. But now looking at it like a couple weeks later, I see that I would have just been unhappy, but just unhappy in a relationship. And that's that wouldn't have been good for me or the other person, which is so. I also realized that there's a deep level of insecurity that I currently have with myself, and to pursue like a real relationship with like a good person, you gotta kind of just be like happy without anything, which is I think I've talked about before. And I guess this is the two stemming reasons. It was the tennis and this person during that time. Yeah. There's a sort of level of anxiety of not knowing whether or not someone will come to you, like the right person, which I think is fair, especially with sentiment from others. For example, like you go on Instagram, everyone's like, oh my god, another Christmas, New Year's or whatever, where I'm by myself, and I think it fills a part of you that like gets anxious that you won't be able to find someone. So like you rush into things. the right thing to do right now is not talk to anyone. Not like, you know, in the term of not talking to someone is like, you know, talking as in like interest in someone. I think that's the right thing to do. But like I said, I'm tired of making the right decisions recently. It's But I think what keeps me from doing that is realizing that it's just a temporary escape. For most people, it's a temporary escape, and it would be a temporary escape for me if I decide to find something. And I think it's, in my personal view, I think if you're dating someone or like talking to someone, I guess, I think it's stupid to talk to someone in thinking that you're not gonna stay with them for a very long time. So the people that I would want to be with are people with very, like, with character that I respect. And if I go with that type of like thinking of deciding not to make the right choice, I don't think I'd be very happy with myself if I'm doing it to someone that I respect heavily. At least that's my opinion. But we don't know. I don't know until it actually happens. You know, I have a friend that came over recently from you don't have to know, but he's very, I've always wondered, he doesn't get in relationships, and the biggest part that I respect about him is he knows that, like fully knows that, and is truly not looking for anyone. I told myself that a lot in high school, and then someone did, you know, I did come into contact with someone, and I like basically instantly folded. Like under zero pressure. Under zero pressure I folded. But so I see how difficult it is, and to be able to do that constantly, I think is very admirable, and I admire him a lot, actually. There's a running joke that he's like me if he had no shame, but no shame in the sense of just said whatever he wanted. And I guess that would make him do whatever he wanted, but whatever, that's besides the point. You know what, I was going off topic, but yeah, this idea of I'm not ready, so I'm genuinely not going to pursue anyone. Dude, actually so hard to do. Because I think if everyone lived by that method, first of all, no one would be in a high school relationship, because I promise you no high schooler, or most high schoolers, aren't not happy with themselves, or like fully secure with themselves in what they do. I mean, if you are, like, good for you, but it's not. You're like 1 in a billion. Yeah, that's like what I mainly wanted to talk about. Not a very happy episode. I feel like that's the theme recently. But I think what's good about this one was that there's a conclusion to the episode. This is like where, like, I feel like I learned something from it, and it's like concrete. It's like compared to yesterday where I like, well, I have this hole from tennis and I don't know what to do with it. This one, I'm like, oh, I had this happen to me. I know from the result of it, I learned something, and I know what I learned, and I could apply it to the future. So that'll be the end of today's episode. 12:16 a.m. 3rd place. Next video, I want to talk more of this idea of insecurity. I think it's pretty interesting because it is a human emotion and everyone feels it and it's natural. But there is some sense of shame to it when people say it, and it is bad. But I think there's parts of it that are good. Maybe. I don't know. I'll probably come to a conclusion next episode, and then my ideas will forever change every single time I think about it. Because we are people. Alright, bye.